I got a question. So, you all have been to very big events, and this is a very relatively small event. Well, which one do you like better, big events or small events?
Small events. Yeah, this is a dream event because it's really well run and it's just the perfect size. Like I've gotten to have like quality time, like that guest on that talk show that's like, no, but I have another thing. But don't ever give the mic away, Montel. Yeah, don't let them hold it. Yeah, but I've gotten to have like really nice quality time with each guest that's come to the table. A lot of times I'm like, okay, I want to make sure I get everybody in, and I hate to rush people when they're spending a bunch of money. So.
I like both sizes. The big ones are really cool, but the small ones, with everybody that comes up to my table, I try to make a little bubble with me and them in it just for a minute, try to get to know everybody. And the nice thing of the smaller one is the bubble can last a little longer before it blows up in your face.
And you get to know, learn people's names, which I love by the end, and you get to actually meet people, and it's just like, oh, and there's Christine, and there's Chris, and there's Max, and there are people that you remember, and then you see them on Twitter, or people come up and introduce themselves that have been following you, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're blah, 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 that's awesome, and then you put a face to a handle, and it's an amazing thing.
What's my name?
Exactly.
I like bar mitzvahs. I like bar mitzvahs because
Tony, man, it ain't the size. It ain't about the size.
Well, we're Filipino, of course not about the size. Have you seen us stand next to each other? I have a question for Glenn and Dante Bosco. So, both of you have been in anime, or Dante's case is more of an American TV show, that have gone live-action remakes. Are you annoyed? Do you get constant questions about, like, what do you think of the remake? And does that annoy you? Does it feed you?
I think anything that can expand the world of, for me, Ghost in the Shell is great. And if people see the movie for the first time and say, wait a minute, this was based on another movie and a whole series and everything else and video games, and then I say expand our world. There's nothing wrong with that,
But I hate it when, like, an actor, when they change, like, really important things. But it's like, you can't do that to a whole fandom. Like, you're invested. You can't just change that.
I never got to ask you. What did you think of The Last Airbender?
Oh, no. I will find a way in. I find a way.
Were you mad that your character did not get any screen time?
Yes, and it was just awful. The whole movie was terrible.
Saw it?
Yeah,
you watched it?
I tried.
Watch your own work.
I didn't pay.
Craig, did you watch Avatar?
Not in the theater. Not in the theater.
Okay.
You look so good.
So, you have been on, I'm sorry, my name is Cece.
Hi, Cece. You look beautiful.
Thank you. My question for you is, you've done a variety of shows from like Iconic and Surprise Me Show in a Different World, all the way down to, Kids Next Door, and also Drawn Together, which I low-key love.
DeFoxy, baby. Everybody liked DeFoxy, too.
So how do you embody everything that makes you geek and your black girl magic so seamlessly? And then my follow-up question. And then my question for the rest of you is, what brings you to this geek realm? Like, what was it? What reawoken that child inside you? Was it anime? Was it a particular show? Was it Power Rangers? Like, what is it that makes you realize that this is where you belong? So,
ask a question to 11 people. We're going to be here till 8 o'clock.
Like elevator speech.
Okay, well, I'll say for me, my father, John Franks, he's no longer with us. He was a voiceover actor and an avid comic book collector. I did not start school till the 4th grade. I learned to read while reading comic books. I first fell in love with the Marvel Classics. I loved them so much I got 7 editions at a time, bound in leather. Then I fell in love with Underdog. Then I fell in love with Plastic Man. Then I fell in love with Red Sonja. Then I became obsessed with ElfQuest. And as far as seamlessly, and I got seams everywhere, blending my geekdom, I do like what you said about being a woman of color, because I ain't special. There are so many little brown girls that love anime, cartoons, comic books, rock and roll. We are the original freaks, and I'll tell you something, we just don't get seen. So when someone like me comes along, it's like, holy shit, it's a black girl that loves cartoons. Or holy shit, it's a black girl that loves rock and roll, or a black chick that loves comics. And the truth is, all my girls love that. It's just, the sad thing is, we just don't get seen as that, and we don't get catered to as that. They don't make stuff for us because they just don't know we're out there. If you're not a little white boy, you're not allowed to like this shit, and it ain't the fucking truth. So, I don't think I'm special. I don't blend anything. I'm just the lucky one who got seen. That's it.
Oh!
It's so pretty. It's like pretty and it's comic books and it's cool.
It'll take your eye out.
Is it 20? Is it 20?
Cool. This one is specifically for Stephen Barry. What's it like, knowing that Star Wars represents Endgame? Like, you guys have worked on it for a long time, and
Thanks for the bummer.
As long as we kill all those rebel stuff, I'm fine.
It's always tough when a show that you love and even Star Wars fans is apathetic. Not necessarily together, knowing that, but it's very tough, especially because we get used to working with the friends that we love. Yeah, and all the creators for this film, giving us that opportunity. But the way that we resolve that.
The way that we resolve that is after 4 seasons of it, Dave Filoni and the entire writing team at Lucasfilm feels like this is the ending that they want. And they didn't get to do that on Clone Wars. And our job as voice actors is really to fulfill their vision. That's all we are. We're just a vehicle to fulfill their vision. And we get to do that in 4 seasons. And yeah, we're out of a job and that sucks.
No.
But on the other hand, nothing in Star Wars ever dies. It'll go on forever, and we're part of the canon now. So we have that. And,
You asked what brings our geek on, what brings my nerd on, and it's always been Star Wars. Always. I was a reluctant Star Wars. I didn't want to see it. I was like, what is this stupid movie about a space octopus pulling some guy down in a trash? What? I don't want to see this movie. And it changed my life. John Williams changed my life. George Lucas changed my life. Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, all of it. It's all great storytelling. It's all Joseph Campbell based. Which is all Greek mythology. It's the history of what we are as a species. So I think all nerddom and everything that resonates in our beautiful nerd society is all based on who we are as a species and trying to figure out who we are and where we're going. And for me, it was always Star Wars and Steven Spielberg, E.T., and Lord of the Rings.
George Lucas with those TIE fighters and the Death Star. When you saw there was a behind the scenes, I don't know whether it was a special or something like that. But when I saw him do that, and I think I saw that before I saw the movie, I was like, I have to do that. That is the coolest thing in the world. And all of a sudden there was. I don't know. There's a direct line from that moment when I'm like 8 years old watching George Lucas blow up stuff, with the camera kind of going over it, to Lord of the Rings and watching the miniatures that were built there and just thinking that, and somewhere in the middle, me in the backyard blowing stuff up, with my Super 8 camera, and it's like
part of that technology that was birthed from all of this, So you got to imagine all the green space stuff. I'm not sure how much you actually did for.
Lots, we did lots, but it was sort of new. But my point is there was no difference in my mind between me with my Super 8 camera and Peter Jackson with $300 million. Yeah. It's the same, like you're trying to get it to look just right.
I have a question for Sarah.
Yes.
You are now the new voice of Ash Ketchum, right?
Not so new.
Well, you've been a voice for a while.
Good question, though.
Now, did you before taking on the role, did you meet the former voice of actor Veronica Taylor? Did she give you any like sound advice for voicing the character? And how was it like voicing such an iconic character in anime?
Well, I hadn't met Veronica Taylor before I started. I only met her maybe a few years after I started, which was a joy to meet her. She's part of my childhood, just like I'm part of some of your childhood. What's it like to voice an iconic character? It's scary because the fans are so married to what the character used to sound like and to who he is and how he was embodied before by Veronica. So that was really daunting.
So did you feel like the weight of the world on your shoulder, having to take on the role that was somebody else?
Yeah, no, definitely. I still feel the weight of the world because I have to continue. I like to keep improving, but at least staying on par with myself. Yeah.
I have a question for Chris Chapman. So you start in 30 Rock, which is one of the more iconic comedy shows, and it's almost like comedy is a guilty pleasure of the geek community, and as well as the mainstream community. So how do you feel about now that you're transitioning, guest starring in shows like The Blacklist, things that are a little bit more like sci-fi, fantasy-esque, and do you enjoy the comedy or the serious roles, or how are you feeling right now?
I enjoy bringing stuff to life, like period. The only thing that's different, you get spoiled working in a show like 30 Rock because we spend so much time together and we're so close as a family. And then when you do guest star on another show, they just tell you to stand over there and it's not the same. You miss your friends and your family because you watch babies being born, your deaths, funerals, we've been through it all together. And then when you are on another show, it's just not the same because, like I said, they tell you stand over there and just wait, see your part is this time. It's not a family, it's more work when you go to another show.
To bounce off of that, then, what was it like working with Tracy Morgan and the scenes with you and .com? Like, were those improv or did they write those for you? Because I noticed, like, as seasons progressed, you guys got more and more scenes, and it got hilarious and more hilarious. I love the exchanges between you and .com. So, did they give you free range to like make the characters the way you wanted to make them, or did they write them in a certain way for you guys?
Well, we had to say exactly what was written, and then once we got that out the way, they would let us play around, and then some of it made it to the final cut, and then some of it didn't. For the most part, we had to say exactly what was written. They wasn't playing with that.
And how was it like working with Tracy Morgan?
It's a ride. You know what I'm saying? Every day we're singing. It's not a bad day on set because depending on who you hang with at that moment or scene that you're in, we either singing or talking garbage to each other. It was just hilarious the whole time.
Did you ever ruin a take where he like made you laugh so hard you're like, okay, wait, you need to do that take again?
A few times, but the part with that is time is money, so you can't play around. And then depending on who's on set, like if Alec Baldwin is there, there ain't no playing around.
Very, very serious.
Yeah,
you gotta get that Trump scene done.
But not in a bad way, though. You know what I mean? Not in a bad way.
Did all you guys, did every representative get at least one question in?
Can I get one question?
You got one, that's the last one.
Yeah. This one for Chester. I'm just wondering, did you imagine like the Stranger Things? Like, did you imagine it to be like I think it was like maybe how would this
That's a question I get asked a lot, and the thing is I don't think anybody plans for the way that it turned out. I'm just glad that people like you guys watched the show, and it's amazing. It's an amazing experience. And I had a feeling, and the feeling was that I knew from the very beginning of the table read that everybody loved the project. And I guess all of you guys here know, when everybody involved really loves the project and is passionate, there's no way you're going to fail. Because you make good work. And that's the reason why we do this. We love making good work. And I'm just very fortunate to be able to be part of a story that, has opened a lot of imaginations for a lot of people. So, no, I didn't expect it, but I'm sure glad it did. I can't say it.
Thank you guys so much for your time.
Everyone else has to leave except for Jeff, Steve, and John. Their panel is going on right now. Everyone else, if you want to talk to them, they'll be downstairs. A big round of applause.
What? Oh, the panel started. No.
Like meaning the original place.
The actual panel now. People are staying for it. I know. Because I might be an animator or a comic book writer. Whatever happens in life. Jesus.
No, I'm talking about